how much cash did you collect in the last 30 days? Do you know?
In the last 30 days, I have collected 17K now.
I want to talk about when you first joined, which was what, like maybe four or 5 months? No, it's been longer than that. Maybe like 5, 6 months ago.
Yeah, probably about 6 months now. Yeah.
6 months. Okay. I want to talk about when you first joined, kind of where were you at that point? Like walk me through your mental state. You're just getting out of school, right? Just walk us through the state that you were in at that point.
I was coming out of school. I did get a degree in graphic design and marketing, but the job search was just super tough. And so I was back and forth between the decision, do I go all in on my business or do I try and get a job? I was doing anywhere from 0 to about $3,500 a month at the point of joining the program. I mean, I had almost zero knowledge as to how to market and how to even package my offer, essentially.
So what made you pull the trigger to go full commitment with building your business?
Yeah, honestly.
We're here with Joe Garfield, the legend himself. You're out in Indianapolis.
No, Minnesota. Yeah, you had it.
Indianapolis, Minnesota, right? Is that
Minneapolis. Yep.
Minneapolis, not Indianapolis.
Yeah,
okay. This is all the same thing, right? Same thing.
Right?
All right.
Yeah.
So Minnesota, dude, I want to chat about your journey here. Okay. Because you're crushing it right now. How much cash did you collect in the last 30 days? Do you know?
In the last 30 days, I have collected 17K now.
Oh, dude, that's sick. How's that feel?
It feels pretty unreal, honestly. I did not imagine myself being in this point at the start of this year. So
yeah, dude, I remember just a few months ago, you were like struggling to pay bills, and now like you got 17K cash last 30 days. That's awesome. And then what's your overall ROAS with your ads, return on ad spend?
Yeah, my ROAS right now is, for my last campaign is what I'm going off. My new one's like super fresh. So I'm just like keeping those numbers out. My last campaign, it was 13.7 for my ROAS total.
Nice. That's pretty good. That's solid.
Yeah.
So basically for every dollar you spend on ads, you make $13 back, or a little bit more than that. Okay. So you got lots of clients, clients are happy, delivering great results. I want you to walk me through, because you know, 17K cash is pretty decent for, how old are you? 24-year-old dude. Like that's pretty good money. So I want to talk about when you first joined, which was what, like maybe four or 5 months? No, it's been longer than that. Maybe like 5, 6 months ago.
Yeah, probably about 6 months now. Yeah.
6 months. Okay. I want to talk about when you first joined, kind of where were you at that point? Like walk me through your mental state. You're just getting out of school, right?
Yep.
And we hopped on a call and you were basically like, dude, I want to do this. I want to build a video business. I just don't know what to do. Maybe talk about, you're probably lacking a little bit of confidence, conviction, not knowing anything about sales calls, like any of that stuff. Just walk us through the state that you were in at that point.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, I was coming out of school. I did get a degree in graphic design and marketing, but I mean, at this point, the job search was just super tough. And so I was back and forth between the decision, do I go all in on my business or do I try and get a job? And this is like a background thing until I can pull something together. Yeah, I was doing anywhere from 0 to about $3,500 a month at the point of joining the program. Yeah, and pretty quickly, I mean, I had almost zero knowledge as to how to market and how to even package my offer, essentially. So like what I just sold this morning, like that 8K paid in full package, I would have never sold anything close to that without having the knowledge from the program, essentially. So yeah, I was doing 0 to $3,500 a month, feeling pretty terrible about it. Didn't know if I was going to have to be living at home for a while. Just kind of figured I was going to be a brokey or just stay, on the low end for business for a bit there. And then, after chatting with you, I pretty much aligned with my pain point is leads. I need to figure out how to structure my offer. I need to learn better marketing strategy to begin with. So yeah, everything slowly started to change after joining, and then took a few months of learning and building up my systems to make sure I could actually fulfill for clients. And yeah, now we're at the point where we're closing deals just 6 months later.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Like you said, just this morning, you made $8,000 in cash, like cash collected, paid in full. That's sick. That's dope. So yeah, going back to like when we were on our call, you mentioned you were kind of between, it was either go all in on the business or what was the other option? Like back to school or like try to get a job?
Yeah, I was basically going to get a job and then just do this on the weekends kind of thing.
Yeah. And so what made you pull the trigger to go full commitment with building your business?
Yeah, honestly, just the position I'm in. I I have limited tie downs right now. Don't have a family, no girlfriend, just a dog. So at a time of risk and reward, I figured that this was a good time to do that. Just because there's not a lot of dependence on me as far as like having to provide for a family and that kind of stuff right now. So I knew even if, I didn't see return right away, that if I stuck it out for the long run, that this could be something that pays off drastically in the future.
Yeah, it looks like it already is, and not even that far in the future.
Right.
What are your thoughts on like? Because you mentioned you're young, you don't have a lot of responsibilities, and like you're able to take big risks right now. So that's one of the biggest reasons why you chose to go full force with it. What are your thoughts on guys that like maybe have families, like a wife and kids that rely on them, and they're barely getting by with their current agency? Like again, similar to where you were, 3-4K a month. Um, like what do you recommend? Like, what's the smartest thing for them to do? Like, because they're not, they're doing the business, but like they are having a hard time scaling. They're not sure what to do from there, but they have responsibilities like that. Like, what do you think someone like that should do?
Sure. Yeah. Good question. Honestly, I think it comes down to a lot of who the person is and what they believe they can do themselves, right? So not everyone can do a job or at least run a business where every day you have to decide to keep going even when stuff's shitty, right? Like I had a few tough months this summer and had to wake up and still say I'm going to keep going at this. So yeah, I think that's really a question where you just ask yourself, and you have to have that confidence in yourself. Like, am I willing to put the necessary front end time and for something to pay off in the future on the back end? And if you're honest with yourself and if you think you can, then 100%, I feel like that's a risk that everyone should take.
Yeah, I think it's a good point you bring up, like being honest with yourself, because I think a lot of people like to think they're entrepreneurs and they take risks and stuff, but like really they're just not bred for it. Like they can't stomach it. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, but I think you got to be real with yourself, right? And understand, hey, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I got to go get a job. Maybe that's going to be best for me and for my family is a stable income. Maybe we're not meant for some lavish, like maybe we don't, I don't know. It's arguable, but I just don't. I firmly believe that not everybody is suited for it. But if you're in a position where like you've got responsibilities and you're your back's against the wall, you really only have a couple options. Either one, you continue doing the same thing you've been doing, right, which is barely getting by, barely making enough money, doing this thing unprofessionally. Like you don't have systems, you don't have a team. It's just you fulfilling on everything, and you're just relying on word of mouth. Like you got nothing really
Yeah.
going on, barely able to pay bills for your family. Like at the end of the day, you got a couple options. Either one, you keep doing what you've been doing, or you have to take risks to get big reward. Like if you want to change, you have to make a change, right? Nothing changes if nothing changes, right?
Yep.
So, and you can't just keep like what's so frustrating to me is guys that are constantly just like, oh, well, I'm going to try this new thing and hope that it works, and it doesn't work. And they're like, well, let me try this thing I saw on YouTube, and then it doesn't work. Let me try this thing. It's like, bro, just follow an already proven method. Anyway, I digress. I'm gonna go on a tangent there, but let's talk about stuff you implemented. Let's get to some like I want to talk about like actual tactics, like things that are actually valuable. What do
Yeah.
you think were some of the biggest pivot points that you learned, implemented, or changed about yourself that was absolutely necessary to be able to make as much money as you're making now?
Sure. Yeah. So it's kind of funny. So the last few years, kind of like starting with COVID, I kind of became a pretty introverted person and just spent a lot of times, obviously, for that whole year with like me and my roommates, as did the rest of the world. But then the following 2 years, I was still going to school alone, like living alone. Like most of my days were operated alone. So I feel like I was lacking in the confidence with my communication because for 3 years I hadn't been practicing communication a lot. Which I mean, people will say that's bullshit, but believe it or not, I'm thinking that it's just like anything else, right? Practice makes perfect, especially for when it comes to sales. So yeah, as you know, my first few sales calls were horrible, and it just took a lot of, I guess, studying the script to the point where I wasn't focused on the script and understanding what I should be saying next at the same time being able to listen to what they're saying to me and actually understand them. Yeah, in the beginning, it was a lot of like, okay, like they're answering this question right now, but like, where in the script, like, what should I
Yeah.
be saying next, kind of thing. Like,
Yep.
not even listening to what they're saying to me.
Yep.
And it's just like, okay, cool. And then going on to the next question rather than delivering some sort of feedback to assure them that you're actually listening and that you're here to help them ultimately. So I think just a lot of practice with that. And the only way I got practice with sales calls was running ads and getting a lot of consistent leads. So it kind of started one thing after another. Once we got some good copy behind the ads, put up my first campaign, and within the first, I think, 9 days, I had 5 leads, which was more than I had probably the last 2 months prior. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's baller. That's there's something to be said about that too. That's super, super important, dude. I mean, we talk about it all the time too. First of all, it's incredibly important to have a script, but what's really difficult is kind of that learning curve from the beginning when you go from not using a script to using a script. Which everyone needs a script. Like you need some sort of a guideline, like sales
definitely.
process to follow. Because if you're just hopping on calls, you're it's really hard to scale a business that way. So
Yeah.
the biggest transition, the most important transition to make is, in my opinion, on sales calls, is to go from understanding that you're not just asking the questions and like writing down the responses, but you're understanding why you're asking the questions that you're asking and you're actually listening to the responses, right? And the only way, like you said, the only way you're going to get good at that, so you can start to go like off script and not look at the script and just have an actual conversation with them, is by getting the reps in, more at
Yeah.
bats, right? Just
Yeah.
having more conversations. Then you start to understand how to navigate the conversations as an expert, and then you can guide them properly to the proper solution they need.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%, totally agree on that. What else? What else do you think you like? Is it just that? He's like, you just did that and then start running some ads and get leads, and all of a sudden you're making a bunch of money. Is it that easy?
So yeah, it was kind of a combination. So with just having so few leads coming in, it was maybe like one sales call a week, which every week then felt like it was another big feat because I wasn't necessarily closing any of them either. So it was like itching for that first one. Um, so yeah, just with the ads and being able to have more reps, I was able to get a lot more comfortable fairly quick, having like 2 or 3 days sometimes. Just kind of lock in, like, start to understand the script to a point where they all start to sound very similar. And it's a lot of repetitive. Okay, now how did I navigate this? That worked. I'm going to do it this way again, kind of thing.
So dive into that a little bit for me. Like, what do you think are some of the most important aspects of a good sales call? Like the
Yeah.
best
So
questions to ask, best things to talk about. Like, what do you think?
yeah, honestly, typically there's 1 to 2 pain points that people come to me with when they're seeking out my services from my ad. So that is they don't have time to do what they want to do, or they just haven't started, slash it's been like they've had failed attempts in the past, basically. So I'll ask some questions along with how much time they're spending now, what their current marketing efforts look like, trying to understand the companies they've worked with prior, to understand what they did and didn't like. And then it's very easy to pivot off of that typically and kind of guide the conversation from there. Because they'll ultimately, at least in my case, they end up just telling you straight up when they've worked with someone in the past. Here's what worked. Here's what didn't. And then another thing is really focusing on their goals. So okay, so it didn't work. They didn't meet the success metrics. So then where are we really trying to go? What are we looking at here?
Yeah. So how do you use that as leverage? Like when somebody's been burned in the past and they're like, oh, we've already tried that. Like we already tried ads. We already tried content. It didn't work. How do you navigate that? Like how do you use that as ammunition to be able to get the close?
Yeah, so sometimes I'll actually have them show me their ads. So like if they say, "Oh, they didn't work," and a lot of times, what I'm finding is they're doing a lot of static images still. So it's a lot of graphic design that you see even today, which blows my mind. I've worked with clients that have been running 12 graphics at a time in a given month, no leads from it. Started doing 3 video ads for them, split tested within the first week, got 5 leads. So I think video alone, just basically ultimately playing that card builds people's interest right away. It's just kind of the digital age we're moving into, is to grab that attention. I mean, video is superior to graphics any day.
How I totally agree. How important would you say it is, or necessary is it, for videographers to learn how to run ads for themselves and for their clients?
Yeah, I mean, definitely important for yourself. That's another good sales point when you're on a call. It's, well, how do you know how do we know your ads work? It's like, okay, well, how would we get to this point? Why are we having this conversation right now? You clicked on my ad. So yeah, and it's a
Your own
case
case
study
studies.
for the quality of your work, right? Okay, they see your ad, they see how it's put together, and they obviously
Mhm.
like the style enough to continue watching and get to the point of clicking on it at the call to action, right?
Yeah.
Which means I got them hooked. They were entertained enough to watch until the end, and they were interested in a good offer to click on it. So it pretty much sells itself when you're an ad agency running ads for yourself.
Yeah, it's like a self-feeding flywheel of
Yeah,
like you run ads, you get results for yourself, you get clients, get results for them, and then yeah, and then it's just like
yeah,
your marketing is the same as your fulfillment, like they're the same
exactly,
thing, which is really
exactly.
cool. It's a beautiful part about this business model. So you're getting good results for your clients too. Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
Most videographers struggle with like I hop on so many calls every day with videographers, and we're just talking about their pain points. And some of the biggest things are either one, lack of lead flow. Obviously, they're just operating off word of mouth, and two, unable to get good results for their clients because their clients are leaving. Right? They'll get a client, somebody get excited, they'll pay them a little bit of money, and then they'll leave after 2 to 3 months because they don't see results.
yep.
Because they're just making organic content, posting on social media, praying, hoping they're going to get results from it. You've done both. You've created content just for socials, and then you've also now you are creating content, but also helping with running ads to deliver leads for your clients. How important? I already asked this, but I want to really emphasize this. What would you say to videographers that are still offering organic?
I would say coupling ads with organic is definitely the best option. The organic is pretty much a middle of funnel as far as the marketing, especially for the types of businesses I work with. They're not large enough where someone necessarily recognizes them, but when their ad pops up and it was targeted towards them, it's something that they're thinking to themselves, yes, do I need this or is this something I'm interested in? So the ads really spark that top of funnel, and the organic is great for nurturing. But as far as reaching new eyes, coupling the ads is just it's a no brainer in my offer at this point. I pretty much don't even pitch strictly organic packages unless that's strictly what they're looking for, and typically that's more social media management and creation than marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. It completes the funnel, right? Ads.
Yeah,
It's like organic is great, but for middle of funnel, most people have no way to get consistent eyes on of the right
exactly.
audience, right? So it's like that's the other thing is you can't just create content and throw it out into the ether and it's like, oh, we got 6,000 views. Bro, you have no idea
Yeah,
who those views are. You have no idea who those eyeballs are. And you have no
yeah,
idea what those eyeballs did. Most of them, probably 95% of them just continue scrolling after they watch the video. Nobody followed, nobody shot a DM, nobody like there's nothing after that.
yeah.
Like I was on a call earlier today and the guy, I was like, what kind of success metrics or results do you have for your clients? And he was like, oh, check this out. And he showed me like their real grid and they were
Hmm.
like 6,000, 5,000 views, 10,000 views. I was like, oh, that's awesome, dude. He's like, yeah, we're crushing. They're really happy. I was like, that's great. How much money have they made? And he's like, well, I don't know. And I was like, so if you're able to get them 100,000 views a month, but their bottom line doesn't increase at all, is that valuable to them? And he was like, well, I guess not. It's like I don't know why it's probably because I've just been doing it for so long, but it's so
Yeah,
difficult for videographers to understand the true value of their offer. And it's like, man, it's just not valuable. Yeah, because it's not valuable. Like you're not delivering them, you're not making them money, right? It's not
yeah,
trackable. So videographers that I've found for the most part are really scared, and I know because I was too, they're really scared to run ads. Like a lot of them have this idea that I should probably be running ads, but I'm kind of afraid to. Like no one actually ever does it. I have a free training on YouTube that's like an hour long where I literally show exactly how to run a minimum friction funnel step by step, right? Like I just run through
yeah.
the whole thing. You know how
I've
many
watched
people have watched it and don't implement it? I'm like, I'm literally giving you the metaphorical keys of the kingdom for you to start getting more leads so you can actually make more money.
it. Yep.
Like either making more money is just not important to you or well, that's it. That's the only excuse you have. You just don't really care about making more money.
Yep.
So, where were you at before you started running ads? Like, was that daunting to you? Did you not really care and not know much about it? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to run ads pretty much since June, but just since I had such low cash flow, I mean, like other people, I was just nervous to burn the rest of my cash, right? And
Yeah,
possibly see no return.
yeah,
Especially since it's my first campaign I would have ever done. It was just, the unpredictable. I've seen it work for other people, but once again, just kind of that limiting belief, like the what if it doesn't work, and then what position am I in? So it
yeah,
essentially took about one decent deal that I closed organically before I was like, all right, I know I have a slight cushion, even if I burn some money, like it's time to test this out. And now I'll look back and say that the only thing I wish I would have done different this far is run ads sooner. So
That's what everyone says. Every
yeah,
single person that's like in the program, every time they start running ads, they get their first deal closed, and they always say, "I wish I would have started sooner."
yep,
I made a video, and I was talking about like if I had to make 10 grand in 1 month from nothing, here's exactly what I would do. And I basically was like, I would, pick a profitable market, pick a profitable offer, right? So it's like, here's the market, the avatar, here's the offer I'm going to deliver, here's the price point. Then once I have that in place, I know who I help, how I help them. Then I would get an Amex Gold and I would just go into debt and spend money on ads. Like I would literally, if I didn't have the money, I would still spend it on ads. And then I know that if I spend $1,000, I'll get at least one client. Like I know even if I suck, if I'm subpar, then I take all the profit from that one client, put it all back into ads, and then it'll snowball from there.
yep.
Um, Going back, like knowing what you know now about ads, going back for 5, 6 months, what would you do? Like, would you do the same thing, or what do you think about that?
I think I maybe even would have tried to get my systems dialed in even a little quicker. Just because, you kind of are spending money to save time ultimately. Like I was spending upwards of 3, 4 hours a day, sometimes just doing cold outreach. Whereas for me to script, film, edit, and get an ad campaign running now, I mean, you can do that in 3 hours. So
Yeah,
it's like one day for 3 hours, and then you just put money into it and let it ride and save you that time. Yeah. So I mean, it almost maybe even would have been smart to work a part-time job and still run ads and just put that part-time job money into the ads if I didn't have it coming in through other video business. But yeah, honestly, everything I've seen now is just like run ads sooner next time, right?
yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So here's a question. So knowing what you know now, seeing the success you have now, we already talked about like you would run ads sooner. What else would you do differently 6 months ago when you first joined? What would you do differently 6 months ago, knowing what you know now?
Honestly, take take more action and understand that the process works. Um, Probably mostly just because I still had doubts in the beginning of could this work for me rather than just trying it to actually find out, right? So stuck in a little bit of analysis paralysis there where it's like, okay, other people see success in it, but why would I kind of thing? Which is
Mm.
natural to have those thoughts. So yeah, I just think going quicker at it even. Like you said, if you had to make 10 grand in a month, like especially after seeing some of these businesses I've worked with, um, it's funny because I get excited about other businesses because I compare them and it's like, okay, well, I know they've done this, so like if you guys will just do a little bit here and a little bit here and spend some ad money, like you can get to this point too. So yeah, I don't know. Taking action is a huge thing in business to get you to where you want to go.
Yeah, immediate action, right?
Yeah,
Just
immediate.
fail forward, right?
Yep.
It's so true, man. So many people are way too stagnant. All right, let's share some sauce real quick. Just
Yeah.
throw it out, give it to the people. What is the best offer? Like, what's the most profitable offer? Because I think you're able to say that now. I mean, you just collected 8K this morning, paid in full. So obviously, you have something that's valuable. What is the best offer for videographers to pitch? Best target market, best people to target, best. What are the deliverables, and then price point?
Sure. What I've seen is service-based businesses is the best to target, which sounds kind of general. I've kind of found my niche to fall into automotive and then like home maintenance. So like HVAC, roofers. I just signed, this guy was epoxy coating for concrete. And so yeah, target service-based businesses, offer them 3 ads a month, split tested, as well as 8 reels of organic content for nurturing, which comes out to about 2 a week. They can still do their graphic posts or whatever else they want to share, but just 8 solid videos a week or a month. And then, yeah, everything scripted, filmed, edited, done for them. And I run that package for 1,500 a month. And the one I sold this morning, I do a $500 increase if they want me to set up and track their campaign for them.
Oh,
So,
okay,
yep,
cool. And
so
so
that's
they,
setup and management as well. So all I have to do is run the campaign, put it in the tracker every day, and that's an extra 500 a month for that.
Yeah, easy. And that's
Yep.
so what was that? A 4 month contract this morning that you got?
4 month.
Four
Yep.
months paid in full. Okay, solid. Well, boom, there you have it. Price
Yeah.
point,
That was my
deliverables. That's
first
what
one
people
call
want.
close.
That's how'd that feel?
It felt pretty crazy, honestly.
Yeah, dude. When you get your first one call close, it's like, man, it's like game changing, bro. You're feeling top of the world.
I know. I
Um,
was like a little numb for about 10 minutes. I was like, this is nice.
it's like, now how do I do that every day?
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's the next question. Okay, cool. So, uh, are you doing like management, social media management for them? Or are you just delivering the assets and they post on them on their own?
Yep. So the organic I'm delivering to them over Google Drive, which they have a quick link they can access, which is in the onboarding, which is another thing I'll say. Dialing in the onboarding is really huge. So our communication link, our contract, our forms that they fill out about their business that I use for the marketing, and their deliverables are all found in 4 links on one page. So like simplifying everything for your client is just super helpful. And at the end of the day, rather than them, jumping off a call and they get 3 different emails come in from you, and then like a text like, "Hey, did you get these?"
Yeah,
Um, so
yeah,
it's super easy when everything's all in one place for them. So I got organized, yeah, and then just use Notion for client management. So put in my projects, if they're on a payment term, what week we're on. Just keep track of everything. Know your numbers.
yeah, 100%. I think another good question to ask. This is a big question a lot of videographers have is like, how do you during a sales call accurately project results for clients? Like, for example, the guys that gave you 8K today, like kind of results did you paint for them that they could expect to potentially get by working with you that made them confident enough to go, okay, here's my money?
Sure. So we base that off of, so prior they were getting $46 cost per leads for their business, and that was running graphic images. And that was during their busy seasons, as we were comparing it to, so over summer months. And then recently it died off a little bit, and he didn't want to work with this company anymore anyways. But basically I said, okay, so we're looking to beat $46 cost per lead, because he actually didn't mind that price because he said that they were qualified as well. So
Mm-hmm.
in his mind, success for our campaign is aiming to beat $46 cost per lead. And he said he already hasn't had a problem with them being qualified just from graphic images. So what I've seen with other people through video, I basically don't see why video wouldn't do even better than that.
So what's the main problem that you're solving for them?
Yeah, so they are doubling their fulfillment. So they were previously
Oh,
running 3 trucks and like 9 employees. Now they're 6 trucks, 18 employees. So he's
oh,
literally
okay.
looking to double his business every month, comparably to what they did last year, in those seasons. So in January, they did like $160,000. He mentioned, so they're looking to do 320 in January this year.
Oh, whoa, so they're looking to do
Double their
100%
revenue.
growth month over month?
Yeah, month over
That's
month.
aggressive.
Yeah,
Wow.
but he's also his ad budget is crazy. He can drop up to 20 grand a month on Facebook for ads. And if he was getting $46 cost per lead, I mean, you're looking at like 400 something leads if you're just spending at that.
So it sounds like your main objective of like why he's paying you is to drop his cost per lead or ultimately drop his acquisition cost by doing better like nurture sequences and like what's the main problem? Is it lead cost or is it like nurturing or is it sales? Like what's the biggest problem in their current
It's
process?
lead cost essentially, and then also, just for the time management and stuff behind it, because he says that his team just has no time nowadays, and
Yeah.
so once he realized that it only took about 4 hours a month on his end to fulfill all of that, he was all in after that.
Look at
Yeah,
that. Okay, so you were able to explain and paint the picture of, dude, all I need is 4 hours from you a month.
yeah,
Okay, that's also huge. Like if you
yep,
can tell clients like, hey, all here's the results we're gonna get, here's everything we're gonna do for you. All I need is 4 hours from you every month. We do the rest. That's super valuable.
yeah,
So okay, so time constraint, that's a big thing. Like they just need more time back to be able to fulfill. And then it sounds like the other thing is correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I misheard you. Is it dropping the lead costs?
yeah. Like
Yeah.
he's pretty much not worried about not getting leads, right? They've had a steady
Yeah.
lead flow. It was just, yeah, complications with their current agency and then just like wanting more time back, which I was able to essentially,
What were the
solve.
complications with their current agency?
Yeah, just like communication stuff. So he said like they were late
Oh,
on getting ads to them that they were supposed to be running, and stuff like that. And then, so yeah, another thing, he's like, how long would it take to have a campaign up and running? And since I'm at the point now where I have editors that'll get me ads back same day. So I was like, well, once we film, I was like, the campaign will be up in 4 days at the latest. And he's like, that
yeah.
sounds great.
That's awesome, dude. So what I'm
Yeah.
hearing from this and why it seems like it was a pretty easy close, then close on one call.
Hmm.
And this is also the case with a lot of your other clients. Is what I'm finding is the commonality is all these clients are already running ads.
Most of them, yes,
Most
90%
of them, yeah,
probably. Yep.
yeah. So speak on that a little bit too. Like, how important is it for, because videographers all the time are like, man, it's so hard to close people. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, most of the calls that you're having are people that have never run ads before. They have no social media presence. They have nothing. They're barely making any money. They're just not qualified.
Yep.
So obviously it's like, okay, A, what makes somebody qualified for you that is an easy close and why? And then two, how do we find those qualified people? Like, how can these videographers go? It's always be like, yeah, it's one thing to be like, I know I need to talk to more qualified people, but how do I get in front of them? Like, how do I get these calls?
Sure. So the first thing is my first question on the form. Um, it's a qualifying question. What's the right word for it? Where it'll kick them off.
And this form is
Um,
your Facebook lead form, right? That you're
Facebook
running
lead form. Correct. Yep.
your ad. Okay.
So yeah, the first question is how much are you currently spending a month on advertising? And if it's 1,000 or less, it kicks them off the form. So that's my qualification right there. As far as they basically have to be spending money on ads already to be able to book a call.
Boom.
So then the other options are 1 to 5K and 5K plus. Um, and then after that, they just goes for contact information, phone, email, name. And then I have like a wait, you're not finished, and they can go to my Calendly, and it has more qualifying questions for them to book a call. And for my first two campaigns over September and October, from my 17 leads, 15 of them booked a call directly, and then all
Wow.
15 showed up to a call.
Oh, it's
So
a 100% show up rate, huh?
100% show up
Wow.
rate, and that's with minimal nurturing through Calendly. So once I have my Calendly set up where they actually book, it's sending them a text and email reminder, or not reminder, a booking confirmation instantly, so that they see that they got that confirmed. Then 24 hours in advance, they get a text and email reminder for a call, and then 30 minutes prior as well. So they get 3 texts, 3 emails. Another thing I want to build out in that is some good nurturing videos that come in an email. So it's actually me, one prepping them for the call, and then another with some case studies, where but don't just take my word for it. Listen to the
Yeah.
results we've got from our clients, and then have some good video testimonials in there.
Yeah. Because that'll help with not only show up rate, but also not that you need help with show up rate, but it'll help with that, but also just priming them and nurturing them and getting them prepped to actually want to pay you. Cause like they already trust
Exactly.
you. They've seen the results with your clients. So that way it just reduces the amount of objection handling and overall sales you have to do on the call.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, dude, that's baller.
Yeah. So,
Um,
quick question for you, which is
yeah.
relevant to this. So, my campaign that I just started running a few days ago spent $190. I have 2 leads, 2 booked calls from both those leads. One was the one this morning that I closed for 8K. Um, so, I still have that qualifying question in for ad spend just temporarily to see what kind of leads I get. Do you think it's like fine if I just remove that temporarily, like where they have to be spending $1,000 just to see what other kind of businesses might come in the pipeline?
So yeah, my question would be, what's the overarching goal here of why you would want to do that? What
Yeah,
do you
just
hope would happen?
yeah, honestly, just for more sales call practice, essentially, just to get
Well,
more
yeah,
reps in.
if
Yeah,
that's valuable for you, then yeah. I mean, what's your close rate right now?
my close rate is off of the first two campaigns, 33%, and technically for this one, 100% because I'm 1 for 1 today on this
Yeah.
campaign.
I mean, overall, 33 is like not bad, dude. 40 is considered good. 50 is insane. Um, Anything past that, like, yeah, you're fine. But 30, like, I think there's improvement to go from like 30 to 40.
Yeah,
But once you hit 40, bro, there's nothing to improve on there. I think you're naturally just going to get good at sales. I don't know if so. Here's the other thing too. When it comes to building business, you always want to make decisions that are backed by data, right? So
Yep.
if you want to, you can. Should you? I don't know if you should, because if we just look at if I asked the question of why would you want to do it, it's like, well, so I can get more reps in, so that I can ideally increase close rate, so you can get better
Yep.
at closing. It's like, well, what's the current close rate? 33%. That's honestly pretty good. And it's probably going to continue going up as you get more reps in. I don't know if that's the priority right now, right?
Sure.
I would just keep taking calls with qualified people. You already got one this morning too. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if it's solving a problem that really needs to be solved.
Makes sense.
You know, that's
Yep.
that's my opinion.
Yep.
Cool, dude. So what's next for you, man? Like, what's the goal now?
Yeah. Get my current leads, or not current leads, current clients good results. Hopefully they stick with me. So this last guy, even at the agency he claimed he didn't like, he was with them for 9 months. So if he does like me, I mean, hopefully, that can be 2 years. Who knows? Yeah. So basically provide good results, make sure they stick with me, and then start building out ways to basically get old leads back in my pipeline. So that's why I want to start with this YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I just started uploading more organic videos myself frequently because like we talked about earlier, I want to practice what I preach more. Tell people, well,
Mm-hmm.
here's what's on my page, here's why it works, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, essentially, it's now a lot of focusing on my own content and my own lead nurturing, and then just providing good results for my current clients and going from there.
Heck yeah, baller. Last question for you, man. So guys that are watching this, hopefully they're getting value from it. It's making sense. Things are starting to click. Um, where do you recommend they go from here? Like, if they're like, okay, I get it, this makes sense, I want to start growing my business. Um, where should they go to learn all this stuff, do you think?
I think they should go to you, where I learned all of this stuff from. I mean, truly, with like I was saying earlier, without Cinemarketer, I mean, there's not a chance in hell I would have closed the deal this morning and collected 8 grand from a guy giving me his credit card over a Zoom call. It's a little bit of a dream there. So yeah, I mean, honestly,
And real quick on the, what's your projected fulfillment time over the next 4 months to make that 8 grand? Like, how many hours of work do you think you're gonna have to put in?
I was just looking at this morning. It's realistically 8 hours tops a month.
Okay, so 8 times 4, 32 hours. So 8 grand divided by 32 hours, $250 an hour. For anyone watching this, would you like to make $250 an hour? Then DM me. I'm just kidding. That's cool though. So like now we break it down, and then
Yeah,
where you go from there is like, hey, 8 hours a month. Now what are those hours dedicated to? And then how can we offload those hours and then continue
exactly.
selling the same package over and over again, and then we productize, right? So
Exactly.
I love seeing like things clicking for you now, because now you're getting it. Like
Yeah.
now the gears are like falling into place. It's like, okay, click, got it, click, that makes sense. I see how this goes.
Yep.
Now is the point where you know how to get leads. You have really healthy KPIs. You have really good, like, your lead gen and your sales game. Honestly, dude, there's nothing to really fix there. It's just spend more on ads, collect more
Yep.
cash. Now we focus on fulfillment, aka reducing work hours to ultimately make more money, right? Like bring
Yeah.
on the right teams, systems, automations, all that good stuff. So anyway,
Exactly.
cool, dude. So yes, okay. So we said, where should people go? You said us. Okay. So from this point forward, Joe, thanks for hopping on the call, man. Anyone that's watching this, guys, if you want, just shoot me a DM with the word ready. That's all you got to say. Shoot me the DM with the word ready. We'll send over more details. We'll brainstorm a plan, see if we can get you similar results to Joey, as well as most other people that we were helping out. We've helped over 80 agency owners one-on-one across the country at this point scale their business, and we've added collectively between everyone probably a little over $2 million at this point over the past year. So that's a rough number. It's probably more than that. But anyway, shoot me a DM with the word ready. Hopefully you guys got value from this. We'll see you in the next video. Joe, thank you very much, dude. Keep crushing it.
Yeah. Thank you.